You never quite know what to expect when you head out on the water for the day, just like this crew's about to find out here as they were traversing down the river and this happens. Apparently they were heading down the river when all of a sudden an approaching tugboat was towing a barge, and somehow the barge wound up breaking free, colliding with the cargo vessel as we see here. What's a little interesting is I don't know why Captain didn't sound an alarm on this to alert the rest of the crew this was about to happen, but it's just one of the wild scenes we're going to witness on this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. Our first story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Spain, where this was the scene just a couple weeks ago, as massive storms ripped through the Balearic Islands, affecting many yachts in the La Savinha and the Ibiza area. Local news agencies are reporting that the storms that ripped through the region carried winds in excess of 65 miles an hour, causing many vessels to run into trouble, including dozens of yachts that wound up aground just in La Savinha alone. Local agencies are reporting at least 3 rescues had to occur during the storm for vessels that either broke free or lost control during the strong winds. Fortunately, no major injuries have been reported from anybody who's on these vessels at the time, but it does appear it's going to take a little while for this crew to get all this mess cleaned up and off the beach. Our next story to make the boating news is actually going to keep us over in Spain, and it's one of the wilder scenes we've seen in a little while, and it's going to take us to the wharf of Camarinas, where this was the scene when a tourist went down to the wharf to pay a little visit when all of a sudden they got out of their vehicle, forgot to put the vehicle in gear, nor did they pull the parking brake. And as we can see here, they scrambled to try and save the car with their bare hands. This one blows my mind. I'm not sure what they were thinking about trying to pull this car up. I don't know if they thought they were Superman or what. The car winds up hitting the vessel we see here, the Puerto de Mar, eventually pushing it far enough off the dock where the car can fully go down and fall into the wharf. As you can see here, the car winds up getting stuck on the boat for a few moments until one of the crew members decides to help it out, comes over, and attempts to push the car into the water. Local authorities have since pulled this car out of the water and seized it, and the tourist who was driving the vehicle has been fined for parking in the no parking zone. I don't know if that means for parking in the water or where he was parked on land. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to Italy, where this was the scene just a couple weeks ago as well, when a massive 154-foot yacht wound up catching fire right off the Italian coast in a section known as Billionaire's Playground. The vessel is a 2008 Hessen-built yacht named Athena. At the time of the incident, it is being reported there were actually 16 people on board the boat. Fortunately, all 16 were able to get off, many of them in the dinghy, but some having to jump overboard at the last moment. Fortunately, with the help of Good Samaritan vessels and local authorities, all 16 people did successfully get off the vessel without any injuries. As for the boat though, its fate is not as good. 2 fire vessels were dispatched to the scene, but unfortunately the Athena eventually winds up rolling over and capsizing, and it is believed that this $18 million boat will be a complete loss. Our next story to make the boating news this week is going to take us over to China, where this was the scene here when the cargo vessel YM Mobility was docked at port, and all of a sudden this happened. It was a small fire at first and wound up being this massive explosion as we see in these images. Somehow, miraculously, no injuries were reported during this incident. The company that owns the cargo vessel, Yang Ming, did release a statement blaming the explosion, which could be felt more than a mile away from the port, on a container it was transporting that contained hazardous materials. At this time, Yang Ming has not released what was in the container that is believed to have caused the explosion, but according to several other reports, the vessel was reported to be carrying lithium-ion batteries, which are either believed to have caused or contributed to the incident. Thanks for watching, crew. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Boating News of the Week. If you ever see anything crazy happening out on your waterways, be sure to hit us up on Facebook or Instagram and let us know, and you might see your stories over here. Just like Adam Coolidge, Dennis Unitas, and Alex Poot did this week. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and drop an anchor on the subscribe button here.